We have convinced ourselves that human history is a journey from savagery to progress. But the Earth holds an uncomfortable truth. Miners and archaeologists keep finding objects that shatter the official version of history. Sophisticated computers, nuclear reactors, and aircraft models existed here millions of years before us. These discoveries prove one terrifying fact. We are not inventing anything new. We are only finding the wreckage left by those who came before us. And perhaps those very technologies destroyed the previous masters of this planet, leaving us rusted components as a warning. This dark story begins in 1901. Greek sponge divers were caught in a violent storm near the island of Antikythera. Sheltering from the weather, they stumbled onto an ancient Roman shipwreck at 60 meters depth. Among shattered marble statues and scattered gold coins lay an unremarkable lump of corroded bronze, an object that would forever change our understanding of the ancient world. When scientists at the Athens Museum cleared away centuries of limestone, they were struck with genuine shock. Inside was an extraordinarily complex mechanism of miniature gears. This became known as the Antikythera mechanism. Over 2,000 years old, yet its inner workings are terrifying in their complexity. A true mechanical analog computer of 37 handcrafted bronze gears driving dozens of pointers across front and back panels. It calculated the movements of the sun, the moon, and all 5 planets, then known with staggering precision, accounting for elliptical orbits, lunar phases, and even leap years. But the real horror is not Greek astronomical knowledge. The horror lies in the manufacturing technology. Microscopic differential gears like these were not mastered in Europe until the 15th century, a gap of nearly 2,000 years. Calculating such gear trains requires advanced mathematics. Cutting them in metal requires precision lathes with micron tolerances. No hand filing could ever produce that fit. Who gave the Greeks the blueprints? Why did they need such precision for a simple calendar? Recent X-ray tomography revealed hidden inscriptions on the back panel reading like a detailed operator's manual. Some researchers see not an astronomical guide, but a countdown timer, the mechanism tracking cycles of global catastrophe, planetary alignments, and gravitational events powerful enough to tear open the Earth's crust. Perhaps the ship wasn't lost in a storm? Perhaps it was sunk deliberately. Someone wanted this knowledge buried at the bottom of the sea. If this computer is still running, how much time is left on its invisible dial? We hold the black box of a dead civilization, and we don't even understand the language of its final warning. We move to Egypt, to the ancient necropolis of Saqqara. In 1936, Egyptologist Walter Emery opened the tomb of Prince Sabu, son of Pharaoh Agib, a burial 5,000 years old. Among ordinary clay pots and stone knives, he found an object that silenced scientists for a decade, a disc of metasolite, 61 centimeters across. Metasolite is a brittle layered stone of quartz and mica, nearly impossible to work without shattering. Yet this disc has the form of a perfect propeller with 3 curved inward-facing blades and a central axle hub. The blade walls are translucent in sunlight. No chisel or copper tool could produce this. One false move would have reduced the blank to powder. Machine lathe work was clearly involved. Official science calls it an incense burner or ritual lamp. Engineers find this laughable. The disc is aerodynamically perfect. Spin it on its axle, and the blades powerfully draw air to the center, exactly like a turbine component, hydraulic pump, or flywheel. But why did ancient Egypt, which hadn't yet invented the wheel, need a stone impeller of such sophisticated form? A mystical theory connects it to the Great Pyramids. Ancient texts say priests possessed a forbidden technology of acoustic levitation, using sound and vibration to lift multi-ton blocks. The disc of Sabu may have been part of an acoustic generator. At the right frequency, it would create resonance that neutralized gravity in the surrounding matter. Perhaps that is why it was buried with the prince. This was not a flower vase. It was a component of an engine that made heavy stones fly like feathers. We are staring at a part from a vimana, a fragment of an ancient drone, and trying to pour scented oil into it. In China's remote Qinghai province, on Mount Baigong, there is a cave that locals avoid for kilometers around. They call it the ruins of aliens and consider it cursed. The mountain has the unnatural form of a perfect pyramid, roughly 60 meters tall. But the most disturbing thing is hidden inside. Researchers found hundreds of rusted iron pipes running through the rock and down to the bed of the saline Lake Tosan, ranging from needle-thin to half a meter in diameter. Chemical analysis in Beijing produced a staggering result. These pipes are 150,000 years old. At that time, humans had not yet learned to make fire, yet someone was building a sophisticated engineering system. The pipe metal is 30% iron oxide, with significant silicon dioxide and calcium oxide, and 8% of something that could not be identified at all, a material that does not exist on Earth. Many pipes remain radioactive today. Skeptics suggested fossilized tree roots, but roots are not perfectly hollow and do not consist of pure iron. Mount Baigong resembles an ancient industrial complex. The pipes descend into the lake like a massive liquid cooling system for a reactor buried in the mountain's depths. There is no debris around the site. None of the waste human activity always leaves behind. Who built this facility 150,000 years ago? The mountain may still run in dormant mode. Locals often see unexplained lights over the lake at night. Perhaps the ancient cooling system still pumps water to cool whatever sleeps below. We walk on the roof of a gigantic alien factory, unaware the production floor beneath us could restart at any moment. In the Gold Museum in Bogota and museums around the world, there are golden figurines made by the Quimbaya and Tolima peoples, over 1,000 years old. Archaeologists call them zoomorphic figures, stylized birds, insects, or flying fish. Any pilot or aeronautical engineer will tell you otherwise. Birds have no vertical tail fin. Insect wings attached to the top of the body, not the underside. These figurines are precise aerodynamic models of jet fighters or space shuttles. Cockpit, streamlined fuselage, delta wings, tail assembly with elevation controls. In 1996, German modelers Peter Belting and Konrad Lubbers built scaled-up copies with motors and radio controls. The golden birds flew perfectly, gliding smoothly, and performing aerobatics even with engines off. Their aerodynamics were flawless and clearly designed for supersonic speeds. These shapes could not have come from observing jungle wildlife. No such creature exists in nature. These people saw machines like this in the sky with their own eyes. The finding casts a long shadow over the Nazca lines in Peru. Giant drawings and perfectly straight lines that shear off mountaintops for kilometers, looking exactly like the runways of an ancient spaceport. Perhaps the ancient gods who descended in fire and thunder were not mythical beings. They were pilots. The golden figurines are a classic cargo cult. The indigenous people cast in gold what they worshipped. They worshipped machines. If those machines were here 1,000 years ago, where did they go? Or are they still watching us from orbit, waiting for the right moment to return? In 1936, near the town of London, Texas, the Hahn family found a rock with a wooden handle protruding from it. When broken open, it contained an iron hammer. At first glance, an ordinary 19th century tool, but geologists determined the age of the limestone fused to the metal, at least 100 million years, the middle of the Cretaceous period. Dinosaurs ruled the earth. Mammals hid in burrows. Humans did not yet exist even as an evolutionary concept, and yet someone was using a hammer. The metal is more disturbing still. The head is 97% pure iron, 2.5% chlorine, and 0.5% sulfur. Iron this pure does not occur in nature, and infusing iron with chlorine is unknown to modern metallurgy. There is zero carbon, making the metal simultaneously hard and flexible. In nearly 100 years of exposure to open air, it has not rusted once, not a single spot of corrosion. This is a stainless steel of an unknown process that outperforms our best modern alloys. Official science calls it a hoax, but the stone has fused with the metal at the molecular level, absolute proof of its age. If this hammer fell into soft clay 100 million years ago, an intelligent being walked this planet alongside the Tyrannosaurus. Was it a time traveler who made a fatal mistake? Or is our civilization simply not the first? Perhaps millions of years ago, enormous cities stood here, and we are living on their ruins without knowing it. The hammer is the only silent witness to that forgotten era, and its silence is more terrifying than any words. The sixth and most disturbing artifact cannot be hidden in a storeroom or dismissed as a fake. It is the Oklo uranium mine in Gabon, Africa. In 1972, French physicists testing uranium ore for nuclear power stations noticed something wrong. The ore was critically depleted of uranium-235, the key fissile isotope normally consistent everywhere on Earth. It looked as though someone had already burned through this fuel completely. Further research revealed the impossible. 2 billion years ago, a fully operational nuclear power plant was running at this location. Scientists identified 16 reactors across the uranium deposit, operating stably for 500,000 years. Official science invented the term natural nuclear reactor, claiming uranium accumulated by chance. And groundwater accidentally triggered a chain reaction. Nuclear physicists reject this. Controlled reactions require graphite moderators and precise active zone geometry. Nature does not accidentally build nuclear plants. More suspicious still, the waste was sealed in specialized rock pockets using a vitrification technique we ourselves only recently developed, without contaminating the surrounding environment. Traces of xenon and neodymium confirm actual fission occurred. Who built a nuclear reactor 2 billion years ago? At that time, only the simplest bacteria existed, or so we believe. The reactor output reached hundreds of kilowatts. Who needed that power on an empty planet? This place proves we know nothing about the true history of our world. Perhaps we are simply the planet's latest attempt to produce intelligent life. Those who came before us reached heights we cannot imagine, but vanished without a trace. All that remains is burned out uranium in an African mine, a reminder that even gods are mortal. Although we have examined 6 world-breaking discoveries, one more find demands attention. In 1936, Austrian archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig found a strange clay vessel in the basement of the National Museum of Iraq, near Baghdad in the ruins of a Parthian settlement. The vessel was sealed with bitumen. Inside was a copper cylinder containing an iron rod, the assembly constructed so the metals never touched. Any physics teacher would recognize it, the simplest galvanic cell, a battery. Fill it with an electrolyte like grape vinegar or lemon juice, and it produces about 1.5 volts. The artifact was over 2,000 years old, meaning electricity was harnessed 18 centuries before Volta and Galvani. Official science claimed the vessels held scrolls, but no papyrus was found inside, only corrosion consistent with acid. Other similar vessels were later discovered. Connected in series, they generate enough voltage for serious tasks. Why did ancient Mesopotamians need electricity? One theory: priests used batteries to electroplate gold onto statues. A more unsettling version involves the Egyptian temple at Dendera, where carved reliefs show enormous lamp-like structures with serpents writhing inside. which some researchers interpret as electric incandescent bulbs. Perhaps the Baghdad batteries powered lighting inside pyramids and tombs, where there is no soot from torches anywhere on the walls. We think of the ancient world as a time of darkness, but perhaps they lit their cities with electricity, and the secret was simply lost. And who taught them to build energy generators from clay and bitumen? As a final entry, an artifact so impossible, it deserves its own category. In mines near Klerksdorp, South Africa, workers have for decades been finding metallic spheres falling out of pyrophyllite rock, 1 to 10 centimeters in diameter, some engraved with 3 perfectly parallel grooves around their equator. Everyone assumed natural concretions, until geologists determined the age of the rock layer, 3 billion years. 3 billion years ago, not even dinosaurs existed. Life was only primitive algae and bacteria, yet someone manufactured these spheres with machine precision. The metal is a nickel-steel alloy that does not occur naturally. The outer shell cannot be scratched with a steel point. And the most mystifying discovery came from the Klerksdorp Museum. Spheres placed in a display case began rotating spontaneously, completing one full rotation every 128 days, as though alive. NASA scientists determined the spheres are perfectly balanced, a balance achievable only in weightlessness. Creating a sphere this geometrically perfect on Earth is essentially impossible. One theory: these are seeds of life, scattered across a young planet 3 billion years ago by an advanced civilization to initiate or control evolution. Or they are data carriers, hard drives built for eternity, surviving the movement of continents and the birth of oceans. We hold them in our hands, but have no device to read the message inside. They sit in a museum, slowly rotating, counting down the time until their creators return to collect their harvest. We have examined 6 primary and 2 additional artifacts, but there are thousands more. Each one is a nail in the coffin of official history. The Antikythera mechanism and the disc of Sabu, the Baigong pipes, and the golden aircraft, the London hammer, and the Oklo reactor are our chief witnesses. The Baghdad battery and the Klerksdorp spheres confirm the same conclusion: we know nothing about our own past. These are not geological curiosities. They are technological debris left by our far more advanced predecessors. We handle them the way children handle a loaded gun found in a sandbox, without understanding what they are for, but sensing the ancient threat they carry. They all say the same thing: civilizations are mortal. They can vanish in an instant, leaving nothing but rusted pipes and strange stones. Looking at these artifacts, it is impossible not to feel genuine fear for our own future. What will remain of us in a million years? A plastic bottle and a radioactive concrete sarcophagus? Or nothing at all? Time erases everything, and we are simply next in line for eternal oblivion. If you watched until the end, thank you. That means a great deal to us. Subscribe and like so you don't miss the next stories. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone.